Tibet, a land once cloaked in mysticism and serenity, stood for centuries as a sanctuary for Buddhist enlightenment. It was a realm where monasteries echoed with ancient mantras, where the rhythm of life flowed through prayer wheels and incense smoke, and where the spiritual was inseparable from the political. At its center stood the Dalai Lama, revered not merely as a political leader, but as a living bodhisattva, the embodiment of compassion. Tibetan Buddhism, particularly the Vajrayana tradition, blossomed uniquely within this Himalayan plateau. Monks, nuns, scholars, and laypeople lived by the Dharma, shaping a civilization rooted in inner peace, meditation, and moral discipline. This isolated yet spiritually rich kingdom became a beacon to seekers around the world. For generations, Tibet existed almost untouched by the sweeping tides of modern empires, its sovereignty protected by its natural barriers and its spiritual guardians. But in the mid-20th century, that sacred stillness was ruptured by the distant roar of a rising power. In 1950, shortly after the founding of the People's Republic of China, the communist government launched a military invasion of Tibet, claiming it had always been a part of Chinese territory, a claim disputed by Tibetans and numerous international scholars. Though small and unprepared for warfare, the Tibetan government was coerced into signing the 17-point agreement in 1951 under the threat of destruction. While the agreement promised autonomy and protection for Tibetan religion and governance, those promises dissolved quickly. China's true intentions soon emerged: to absorb Tibet fully, suppress its unique identity, and exploit its strategic and natural resources. Under Mao Zedong's rule, and especially during the Cultural Revolution, religious institutions were targeted with aggression. Over 6,000 monasteries, repositories of centuries of knowledge, art, and sacred relics, were destroyed. Monks and nuns were defrocked, tortured, or imprisoned. The sight of Chinese soldiers marching through temple grounds, guns replacing prayer beads, became a new, chilling normal. Devotion became defiance. The once peaceful Buddhist realm was plunged into chaos. In March 1959, growing frustration, fear, and spiritual desperation erupted into open revolt. Tens of thousands of Tibetans gathered in Lhasa to protect the Dalai Lama after rumors surfaced of a Chinese plot to kidnap or assassinate him. The uprising was met with a brutal military crackdown. In the wake of escalating violence, the Dalai Lama disguised himself and escaped under cover of night, trekking across the Himalayas to reach safety in India. His perilous journey was followed by the exile of over 80,000 Tibetans, who crossed frozen mountains and treacherous terrain in search of sanctuary. Welcomed by the Indian government, the Dalai Lama established a Tibetan government in exile in Dharamshala, where the foundations of Tibetan Buddhism could be rebuilt. Across India, Nepal, and later the West, Tibetans began to construct new monasteries, schools, and cultural institutions. This exile was not merely geographic, it was the forced transplantation of an entire spiritual civilization. But instead of collapse, what followed was a profound expansion. The teachings of compassion, mindfulness, and nonviolence found new soil in foreign lands. Today, the Tibetan struggle continues. Inside Tibet, freedom of religion remains tightly controlled. Surveillance is rampant, and expressions of loyalty to the Dalai Lama are harshly punished. Monks must be state-approved. Devotion is censored. Yet, the spirit of Tibet endures in the diaspora. Tibetan communities across the globe have preserved their sacred traditions, kept their language alive, and continued sharing the wisdom of the Buddha with a world aching for spiritual clarity. The exile, painful and unjust, became a vehicle for global awareness and awakening. From tragedy grew resilience. From displacement bloomed a greater transmission of light. The story of Tibet is not just one of invasion and loss. It is a story of survival, strength, and the quiet, undying courage of a people who chose peace over vengeance, and who carried their temple not in stone, but in the beating heart of their collective soul. TNT Initiative. Our race's universal hope.